Hey, welcome back to Success, Motivation, and Inspiration on Amazon Fire TV. And also, if you're reading this in Newswire Magazine, check out K4CO Radio. Today, I've got Joshua de Estrada and Sara Duke. Josh is the president and Sara is the vice president of media relations for K4CO. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Tell me a little bit about the station. I know it's an internet-based internet radio. You've got the Android or iOS apps, and you can listen to it pretty much wherever. But how did you guys get started? And can you kind of tell our audience what the station is about?
Sure, yeah. Got started about a year and a half ago, and wanted to create something that really helps out local Colorado musicians. They really don't have a platform. I've been a musician kind of as a hobby for most of my life, and just wanted something that kind of felt like the old type of radio with a lot of music, and something that really could just support our local community, specifically our Colorado musicians, but also local nonprofits, which there's a lot of them here that are great, as well as some small businesses. So
I flew up and did a interview with you guys. Actually, I think I drove up last summer and really enjoyed the branding, and just you guys did a great job as far as the conversation we had and promoting everything on social media. You do a ton on Instagram and Facebook and really help market the folks that are interviewed. Are you focusing mainly, are you looking more for businesses or artists to feature right now?
Both, really. So, I mean, it's kind of, there's a lot of moving parts on it, but, it developed into something much more than a radio station. We do a lot of media marketing, social media marketing, as well as remote events where we broadcast live at different events and market our small businesses and Colorado musicians there as well. So it just became something much more than just a station for us. And Sara Duke has been incredible when it comes to growing that.
When she was first getting started on the internet marketing side of it, a little while back here, I guess it's been what, a couple of years ago, right?
For the internet marketing?
I mean, doing the media relations, or how long have you guys been established as a radio station?
Let's see, our apps actually launched in September of last year, so we are a little over a year old. But this started actually in March, so we are about a year and a half, but have been streaming live for about 14 months. And as Josh said, we're definitely focused on the Colorado community with businesses, nonprofits, and musicians. We already have about 130, almost 140 Colorado musicians in our rotation, and we're the only station that is actually doing something like that with an open door policy. And we have every genre under the sun that comes in, which is absolutely fabulous. So we have rock, mellow, metal, blues, country, rap, you name it, which is fabulous. And our partners truly care about the community. So it is, small businesses, HVAC, roofers, piano teachers, financial planners. So we're very, very focused on the small business community as well.
I mean, you're located in Colorado. People fly in to do the interviews with you locally there. Being an internet radio, you're available in every city, state, country, probably internationally as well, right?
Exactly, which is great. You can be vacationing in Europe and still listen to your favorite station from Colorado. So, which is a huge bonus for us, not going the FM AM route, and with technology kind of going that route. It just made sense.
Yeah, which is great. Another thing I wanted to add on what Josh alluded to was we are really an advertising and marketing hub. So we offer social media packages for our endorsed and partnered companies, which includes, of course, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and so much more, Nextdoor. So you have the social media aspect, which is very, very powerful, an international tool at our disposal. And the endorsements, we offer more radio endorsements than any other station in the state of Colorado. We offer up to 200 endorsements per month per business, which is pretty amazing. And plus we do interviews similar to this that also go into Reels, Shorts, and our YouTube channel. So there's lots of different avenues for these businesses to endorse and advertise for themselves.
That was one of the things as a business owner that I really enjoyed doing the interview on K4CO Radio was the Instagram collaboration, and you guys really worked hard to promote and push the interview out. And you're even a member of a couple of our Facebook groups and stuff. And this is a year later, and you're still on there engaging. And so, I mean, just as a client being featured on K4CO Radio, it was a huge benefit to our brand, and probably one of the best, as far as investments of time, money, whatever, probably one of the best things you can do for your brand if you're a local Colorado business.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time and coming in with us as well. We love Newswire. You're one of our partners. We include you in everything that we do. So it's been a privilege and an honor. We're very grateful to have you as a friend and as a mentor.
That's a huge compliment. I appreciate that. I'll have to give you a little kickback after the show.
Anything is wonderful. We accept all, especially food. If you want to send lobster and steak, that'll be wonderful.
What inspired you guys both to pursue a career in radio broadcasting? Do you have a background in that, or?
No, actually. I had a background about 14 years in the financial field, and then about 6 years in medical sales. And really what happened is I really did not like where I was. I didn't like my job. I didn't like anything. And my father passed away, and I just kind of went through I really just need to start enjoying life and do something that I really want to do. I had mentioned starting a radio station to Sara Duke here, and, we've been friends for quite a while. And she just said, if you are going to do it, now's the time. And it's been the most terrifying and the most gratifying thing I've ever done. It's been just up and down roller coaster of just emotions, as any entrepreneur would probably know. But it just, it was just a call where I needed to do something where I felt like I was doing good, I was helping, and I was enjoying what I was doing. And so she kind of lit the fire under me, and just kind of started from there. And months later, asked her to come on board, and she definitely did. So she's been in nonprofits for about 20 years. She's also been a business owner as well, so she's gone through the entrepreneurial lifestyle too. So it's really nice hearing from somebody who's done it before when I'm freaking out. So, but yeah, that's kind of how it started. And of course, I have a passion for music, and part of it is really preserving music too, because we play music from the 1940s all the way through today as well. Outside of our Colorado artists.
That's one of the things that I love about you guys too with this show was I was curious if you had some type of a marketing background or promotion, PR type background, because I'm on, I've been a guest on shows, flown out to Las Vegas and all over different locations, but it always surprises me very often how, as far as doing a live interview, how terrible some of these stations look. Like you get inside, it's just, they've got some back office trashed out room. Maybe, it's good for sound quality, but they've got old mattresses setting up against the wall for sound deadening, and it doesn't look real good on camera. I've gone out and not been able to even use any of the video footage. So the only time that I'm ever even seen on the radio or heard on the radio is that one time on the AM or FM station where, if you happen to be listening to the show, maybe you heard my interview. But as I'm telling you to, go to news-wire.com/magazine. If somebody's driving in their car and trying to get there and going, shoot, what the heck was that company? What was maybe I'll hear it again. I'm not flying out to this other state again to do this interview, but it was really nice with you guys to be able to bring in the cameras. And I think you guys are getting into this too, where bring in multiple cameras and have a really nice video production type of setup that can be used over and over and over again. And do you ever do anything as far as uploading those shows to YouTube, or is that something you plan on in the future?
We do, actually. We upload a lot of the interviews to our YouTube channel. And then we also send the video and the audio to the person we interviewed so that they can use it, chop it up, do anything they want with it. We don't look at it as our property. we look at it as ours and theirs to do whatever they want. So we do upload those, and it's been great having a video and audio guy helping us through this, so that, you know, we kind of took the podcast route to it, but can attach that to not only our shows, but interviews, our remote broadcasting, everything out there that we can share all over social media with reels and stories, as well as our YouTube channel.
Do you allow other artists to come in from other states if they want to come out and do a feature, or is that just Colorado artists?
We do. We have an open door policy for people to contact us. We've done some interviews with some bands that are outside of Colorado that were coming in to do a show. And you know, they're small, they're still smaller bands. They're not making a lot. They're just trying to, you know, they have stories of their truck breaking down and, you know, trying to scrape enough money to fix that real quick so they can make it to the next show. And if they're coming to Colorado, yeah, we would love to get them in, see about talking, because a lot of times we find that these bands that contact us that are not from Colorado, they do come to Colorado quite often, and they play a lot in their home state. There's still people with possibly second jobs who are just really trying to spread their passion for music. And so those interviews have been great as well. We absolutely love having them in here. Interviews are probably my favorite thing, just because I really enjoy speaking with somebody, learning about them and their past, and just kind of getting in their head, I guess. But yeah, we accept a lot of different bands now. About over 90% of them are Colorado bands, of course. But yeah, we've done some good bands that are going through Colorado, and they've been a pleasure.
That's awesome. And now, if you're listening to this as or maybe you're watching this on Amazon Fire TV or reading the article in Newswire magazine. If you're reading this in Newswire magazine, scroll down to the bottom. We'll have a call to action section where you can click on the K4CO. There'll be some kind of a picture down at the bottom, and then click that and you can get to the landing page. But you guys will have, I would assume, some type of contact information where somebody can either contact you for advertising or an interview or playing their music.
Absolutely. Yes, for our musicians, the best way is to email their favorite MP3s to contact@K4CORadio.com. And our landing page shows everything, which is great. It has our information there. And our app is actually free to download for anyone that wants to listen. And you can message the station right on the app when you're listening. So you can find us on Facebook, K4CO Radio. Instagram is K4CO_radio. So lots of different ways to get in touch with us for either an interview or to be a partner with us, or if you're a musician.
And you were mentioning in the car, you know, somebody's listening and they're just, oh, I got to remember that. Well, it's through the app. All you have to do is say message the station, and we'll reply with whatever you need. So it makes it really nice to quickly respond and communicate with people.
Love that. Have you guys thought about, and we can cut this out if it's something we don't want to put in here, but a lot of big podcast hosts are like the top 2%, you'll see where they have a dedicated landing page. So for example, K4CORadio.com/M Curtis McCoy, where if I've come out and do my interview, take that video, upload it to YouTube, then pull the transcription, and then tell ChatGPT to write an article outline from the interview. And then from the article outline, write a 2,000-word SEO optimized article. And now you've got on the landing page, got the video at the top, the full transcription down at the bottom with links going back to their site. That could be something you could upsell as a...
We definitely, we communicate with our audio video guy to just always be getting better. It's just step by step, but we've always been open to different ways that we can elevate the experience and elevate it for not only the small businesses, but nonprofits and Colorado musicians. So, yeah, we'll put that one down as well. We're just constantly, as long as we're getting better, then we're doing well. It's when we're not trying to get better and evolve, and that's when you worry.
You end up stuck on AM.
Yeah.
Again, you just search the K4CO Radio app in either Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yep. And then on K4CORadio.com, there's many links to get the apps there as well. So,
is there advice that you could give as far as somebody who's going to be a guest, or maybe they're looking to have their first radio interview ever? Can you give us some advice for a new guest, how to show up as a really good quality interview?
Yeah, it's wonderful. You're doing exactly what I help advise. Yeah, we have everyone come in that you can imagine. We have musicians, authors, restaurant owners, and anyone can come in for an interview. It doesn't matter. If you have a voice and want it to be heard, then you can come in. We are actually not regulated by the FCC, so it does give us a little more wiggle room. And it's so funny. We of course talk about their business, but it really comes down to their passion and what makes them who they are as a human being. So I always send roughly 10 questions ahead of time, and we usually do not stick to the script. We go on our tangents of what life entails, but definitely with the musicians, of course, they're trying to promote their new releases or where they're going to be at if they're touring. So we want to make sure that we hit those key points. But really what we find is the human interest story is what people are drawn to. If they like you, know you, trust you, they're going to remember that story and say, oh yeah, this guy was with Newswire. I want to go hang out with him for a while. Or these guys are with K4CO and they really care about the community. I want to go reach out to them because they actually care about the community. So that's really the point that we try and hit home.
And human interest is huge too, and the passion behind them, because I'm kind of old school when it comes to, I don't think people do business with companies, they do business with people. And, when they really see that passion behind you and what is really driving your force with your business, that's when they say, I'm doing it. That's when you line them as a client. It's not what you offer. It's not how you offer it. It's who are you and what is your passion behind it. So we really try to get into who they are, personally and professionally.
And I love that how you talked about people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. Mm-hmm. That's something that you guys do really well compared to, I'm embarrassed to say how much we've probably spent over the years on FM radio advertising years ago now in retail stores. One of the things with K4CO Radio that I liked was you're staying up with the times. You're continuously not only investing in new technology, you're trying new things and just keeping where you're cool and trendy, and just like you guys on Facebook, there's always something new going on, and you're really doing a great job promoting the musicians and, or I guess, the artists and businesses that you're working with.
Well, yes, thank you. Yeah, it's so funny. I talked about this morning. We talk about this frequently, staying up with the times. Right when you figure out Facebook, then you have Instagram, and then you have TikTok, and now we have all these different apps, which is wonderful. Our world really has become streaming. This is how people are getting their information, and AI is going to open a whole new world, and it already has, which is great. It's a new tool for all of us business owners to use to help connect and collaborate and come up with these new ideas to help each other.
A random question here. If you could interview anyone living or dead tomorrow, who would that be?
Oh my gosh, what a great question.
Well, while you think about it, I already know mine.
Good go. Wow.
Mine is actually my all-time favorite musician, Tom Waits, who's been releasing music since the early 70s. He's kind of stayed underground, kind of out of the public eye, public image and everything. But just an incredible musician with every article I read about him is just fascinating. So that would definitely be mine, music-wise and due to his life. I'd love to learn about his life.
Wow, I'm gonna have to go a little more historical. I would say either George Washington or Abraham Lincoln. Those two people, I think, set our country apart with their decision making, and to have the foresight. Both of those people were very driven in a world where they were scorned, and it was very, very hard to pave the way, and they did it. So that tenacity and determination, I would like to interview one of those individuals.
Go a little bit deeper into that. What is one main question that you would like to ask each of those people? both of you, Joshua and Sarah.
You want me to go
Yes,
first?
yes.
Oh man, now I got to think about one main question for this gentleman. I would have to ask for a story about a point in his life where he was absolutely at his lowest in his music career. I think you learn a lot about somebody, not with their successes, but with their failures. And so I'd like to know that moment and that story where things kind of changed around for him, or when he was just, you know, at the end of his rope, and just what made him continue and all of that. So that'd probably be mine.
I completely agree with him. It is not the peaks, it's the valleys that I find very intriguing about people, especially being an entrepreneur. You are very frequently paving your own path that no one has done before, and you have to muster up the grit to keep going when it is really, really tough. And I'm reflecting back on George Washington and talk about, I mean, you have nothing. You're in a small boat and you have the odds are stacked very against you to succeed. So my question is when you are in that moment of despair, how do you keep going? What was at the forefront to make you continue to drive and pursue your ultimate dream? And so it's where you muster up your strength would be my question.
I love that. And now, Joshua, would you mind answering the question that you would have asked your top guest there? The same question you just said that you'd ask him?
If that was thrown at me, well, honestly, I don't know my lowest point, but I do know in those times when I am at my lowest, I always try to shut my brain off and say, tomorrow's another day. And, for some reason, it's kind of freeing to just be able to say, I can't do anything now. It's 9 o'clock at night. I need to get some sleep, shut it all off. Tomorrow's a whole new day. And, with starting all of this radio station and everything, you got to accept that there's not enough hours in the day. There just isn't. So, you got to be willing to just turn it off and say, I can't do anything right now. I'm going to wait till tomorrow. I'm going to wait it out. So that's how I would answer it.
That's a huge thing there, just being able to disconnect and something that any entrepreneur that's listening to this, if you have not had a massive failure or something that's keeping you up and burning holes in your stomach, just wait for it. It's coming.
Mm-hmm.
I love that advice. And Sarah, how would you answer the question again?
Yeah, how to keep going. This is my fourth company that I've been a part of. They've all been very, very different, but very, very challenging in their own ways. And I go back to the core when Josh told me his idea of to bring community together. I think it's something that we've lost along the way. So that to me is the core when all of the other noise gets to me and the naysayers come into my brain and they say, you can't do it, or why are you reinventing the wheel? And I say, because someone has to do it. And Josh has been a huge support system for me, a huge rock for me through this. And I think we are there for each other, which is really helpful. We know what the valleys are, we know when the peaks are, and thankfully we're usually at different points on the mountain at different points, so we can help pull each other back up. So it's to find the support system when you can and get back to the core of what is really important and why are we doing this. And for me, I love the interviews, like Josh said. It's because we're connecting with other people that are having the same struggles and triumphs. And that to me is what life is all about.
For artists, what is your biggest piece of advice for some hits, whether they're new or experienced, as far as being a radio guest and really maximizing that exposure to, to keep, whether it's repurposing the content or just showing up as a great radio guest? What's your advice to an artist?
Well, the first piece of advice I take from my dad is better to show up an hour early than a minute late. I like when people show up early so that we can kind of talk, get to know each other, get comfortable. Because if you walk right in and sit down and boom, you go, you haven't had the chance to just sit down, relax, have some water, some coffee, something like that, and just get settled. The second thing is, like you said, just relax and be yourself. And that's why we don't like scripting. I really don't like going off a script. We'll ask them, are there any questions you want us to throw out? But when it comes down to it, after they answer that question, I'm not going on to the next question. I'm going where I feel it needs to be. And a lot of times I think one of the greatest challenges is when somebody is a little uncomfortable, and you can kind of tell that, is to get them out of it. And a lot of times to get them out of it, to get them comfortable, you got to talk about, again, what they're passionate about. And a lot of times it's going back to the beginning. That's why a lot of times I'm just like, what were you thinking when you wrote this song? The beginning of this song before it was even recorded, was even played for the first time. Same thing with an entrepreneur. What made you do this? And really just get them to relax. So my biggest piece of advice is be sure to sit down and be prepared to answer anything, honestly. And be relaxed. Don't talk too much. Don't talk too little. Just, state the answers. Nice and easy.
Solid advice. And for Sara, if you're showing up as a business, a lot of business owners are probably less confident on camera, less confident on the radio than somebody who's been performing live in front of people for years. As a business owner, what's your advice? I mean, as an advice to a business owner who is showing up for an interview on K4CO Radio?
Almost 90% of the time before they come in, I have met with them for coffee or lunch. And so we've already uncovered who they are. And I say, just repeat this conversation that we've had in the coffee shop in the studio. And it's extremely relaxed. And I agree, it's a very similar dynamic that what we're doing today. It is very unscripted. It's very normal, natural. I think that's what draws people in, is when you ask a question and it really gets you to think and you are raw and real in that moment. Because when it's scripted, people know that. They understand that has now been written down. This is what I'm supposed to say. And people don't connect to that. That's not the human emotion that's inside. So I always preface it with, and Josh does the same. We're sitting down for a cup of coffee and we're going to have a very relaxed conversation. And if you let something slip, it's okay. This is our conversation, and it's for people to get to know who you are, who you really are. So it's very similar with musicians. And yeah, a lot of people they freeze up or don't know what to say. So it's to get them engaged. And I love that backstory of, why did you become a business owner? It is so dynamically different for every person's path. I mean, I have a economics major, went to a dog trainer, and now I'm in radio. Like, people think there's no linear path whatsoever with that, but it makes my story very unique, as does everyone else that comes in. I kind of kiddingly, we have a couch here in the studio. I call it the crying couch, because you really uncover why people do what they do. And it is because it's something that makes them tick. What motivates you in the morning? I know we're all after getting the paycheck, of course, but if you love what you do, you never have to work a day in your life.
And that being said, it's kind of opposite what we've been told, my whole life at least, is just rehearse, 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 rehearse. If you're going in for an interview, don't rehearse. People can tell what is scripted. People don't like what is scripted. So, do the opposite. don't prepare.
It is that is definitely my method, 100%. I never know what I'm going to say before we're either on TV or an interview. We just, whatever is said is said. You show up and be present in that moment.
That's powerful advice. I've done 182 interviews in the last 90 days. And one of the things that helped out with that was you can actually check out, there's an article about Matchmaker FM in Newswire magazine that kind of tells you the whole process there. If you're planning on getting on and doing a paid radio interview, I would highly recommend set up a profile on a service like Matchmaker FM. Get on, do dozens and dozens of podcast interviews where it's not costing you anything. It doesn't really matter if you screw up, and get to where maybe you're doing some live Facebook interviews, whatever. But putting in the reps, whether that's being a guest on podcasts, whether that is joining a local Toastmasters group, but make sure that when you show up to the radio, you want to show the best version of yourself. And also, what I would recommend is have a list of things that you don't really want to talk about as well. You don't need to tell the radio station that, but if you show up, you haven't practiced, you're extremely vulnerable, and now they ask you about what the toughest time in your life was, and you just went through a terrible breakup and whatever's happening there, and you start spilling your guts, turn that into a blubbering mess on the radio. That's not going to be real quality show. So make sure you practice, make sure you've got an idea. And that also helps you steer questions as a guest back to where you wanted to go. But yeah, just show up practicing. And I love what you guys are saying about being yourself, being real.
But yeah, I totally agree with that advice too. Yeah, when I send over the 10 questions, especially with musicians, like I mentioned earlier, it's where are you going to be touring? What is your newest song? But I do actually ask, is there anything off limits that we cannot talk about? Because it is live, at the time it is streamed. So I do ask that. And I don't know if actually ever someone has said, no, you can't ask me that question. But it is to steer them in the way that will open them up and still have a good conversation. So, and I agree, the more you do it, when we first started, it was tough. Because you tense up and you look like you're a little bit, you don't know what to say. And so the more you do it, the more relaxed you are. So I agree with that completely. Just get some practice under your belt.
Like Josh mentioned about not practice. As far as not practicing the questions earlier,
right?
That's a huge mistake I made on my very first radio interview ever. Was I think 2016, 2017, and the host sent me a list of 10 or 15 questions we were going to cover. And I memorized the list and also memorized word for word everything that I wanted to say. And this is I guess I didn't memorize it. I tried to memorize it, couldn't memorize it. So I had it written out, and I asked them to aim the camera a little bit higher so that you couldn't see the paper on the table. And so they'd ask, hey, today we got Curtis McCoy on the show. We're going to talk about this. What is your thought on success? And I'm looking down at the paper. My definition of success is... sounded like an idiot. So yeah, I wish I would have been able to hear this interview with you guys and get the advice on how to actually show up as a good guest before showing up and making a fool of myself on another show that I had flown across the country to be interviewed on.
It's not at all. You have to do that. I see that frequently. As Josh said, I've been in nonprofit world for easily 20 plus years. And, you have a room full of sometimes 500 people, and it is very scripted. They stand at the podium, and that is what kind of we're told to do. When I get up there, I have no script. So, there's pros and cons to it because I can go on, of course, my tangent, but you have to go through some of those steps to say, okay, well, script worked for me or script didn't work for me. Some just have the bullet points to say, okay, I made sure to thank who I needed to thank and make sure that I actually talked about the business this time. And, yay, K4CO Radio is amazing. Come endorse with us. So it's certain things like that, but it is to be, I think, the real human being that we are.
Yeah, bullet points are fine. I need to talk about this. Well, then talk about it. Don't memorize a whole paragraph of what that is. Because if, even with bullet points, if you're just like, all right, I'm going to talk about this, and it's not scripted, you're still being yourself. You're not trying to, what was that word?
Give me an example of whether it was a business or guest that really benefited. Maybe it's an artist that really benefited from being a guest on your show. Kind of tell me how that helped their exposure.
Yeah, I'll actually go first, please. One of my favorites. I wasn't doing the interview. Our station manager, Kevin Stanley, was, and it was with a local musician who he's one of the few that is doing this as a job. He's blessed enough to be doing this as a job, but he's extremely hardworking. He plays about 5 or 7 shows a week, and is booked out almost a year. And so he treats it as a business. He works 5 days a week, takes 2 days off. And it was such a pleasure listening to him. His name is Josh Blackburn, and an amazing guitarist, amazing singer. He has, a few albums out there, and just talking with him, he did not script at all. You can tell that, but he was so humble and such a pleasure to listen to, and such a nice guy, where it's, a lot of times with musicians, or at least sometimes, you get kind of like the head, you kind of get a bigger head and kind of, yeah, I'm good, stuff like that. You did not get anything about that. And you really just he went through his life and his passion and why he does what he does. And it just made me really appreciate him that much more. And that's why I love those interviews where you kind of get through, how'd you grow up? What led you to music and everything like that. And just the biggest thing was he was such a nice guy and so humble. He's like, he said on the interview, I don't like my voice. And I love it, and a lot of his fans do love it. I mean, he's booked, all the time, but just to be honest about that, say, I've never been a big fan of my voice, but I do it. And, yeah, just really, and it was an interview that extended past our window, and I was completely fine with it. Usually I'm like, doing the clock, but no, he could have talked much more. So it's just interviews like that where people are just really authentic.
Do you have a good example of a business that has really gained some traction and got some good leads from being on a guest on K4CO Radio?
They have so many of them stand out. A couple of the musicians, Billy Bauer came in, and it was so wonderful as he left. He actually said it feels like it's being with family. So that one stands out with me. Megan Clarice is another one that has become a good friend, and we kind of follow her around. So a lot of the musicians have been very meaningful. We had the owner of PostNet come in a couple of weeks ago, and she is so lively and a wonderful person. We had another ribbon cutting. That wasn't an interview, but that got a lot of traction online for him. He had 1 follower on Facebook, and that 1 follower is us here at K4CO Radio. And so we were present at his ribbon cutting, and we did a short reel for him online, and that gained 1.6 thousand likes within 24 hours. So That was pretty amazing to have that type of experience. So many of them, truly. We had the Nuggets mascot come in a couple of weeks ago, and he was so funny. I mean, I've cried, I've laughed, I've had every emotion in this little room with people that is possible. So a lot has brought meaning.
That's awesome. You guys didn't ask for this, but as an endorsement, when I came in doing the Newswire magazine interview with you guys, I was just blown away by again, it was not a transactional type of thing where I've been a guest on podcasts, more often podcasts than not, where everything's a transactional thing. They've got some kind of a upsell or some type of if you've done this, now we can sell you on this next package, but really didn't get anything out of the interview. Out of 182 interviews in 90 days, I've got a handful that have really been beneficial. That was something I loved about the K4CO Radio interview as well, though, is you guys have had really just ongoing promotion. You're still on Facebook a year later, liking, commenting, engaging with the posts, and that's probably the best one of the best things I've done as far as promoting the business was being a guest on K4CO Radio.
Well, again, it's not transactional. You do business with people. You make them feel at home. You really ask them about them and listen. That's the big thing, is listen. On a transactional thing, it's just check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark. All right, we're done. That's not how we do things. I'd like to say, which I stated before this whole thing even began, that I'm old school. I do handshakes. This is very personal to me. And I think for a lot of people, business is very personal. And I think the more you go towards the transactional side of things and what you offer instead of who you are, you're just kind of getting away from what really makes you who you are.
I believe I said this in the interview when I was on K4CO Radio last year, but saying people cannot do business with you if they don't know you. You could build a shopping mall in the middle of the desert, the coolest shopping mall in history with all the stores and car dealerships and every restaurant. But if somebody can't find you, they can't do business with you.
Yep.
What advice would you give if somebody is trying to get their name out there? How would you recommend they repurpose the content? Or are they able to bring in a smartphone or a camera and record the interview to post the K4CO Radio interview on their social media with you guys?
Sure. We've had people come in that, they're going live. Hey, we're at K4CO Radio. We don't mind it at all. That's just, another avenue where, again, our interviews are not our property. It's be who you are, do what you want. Let's get the word out that you are here because this is your time with us. This isn't just, for us. This is for you. And so my big piece of advice when it comes to primarily a business owner and entrepreneur, I would say in this day and age, it is all about who you are and, person to person, but you need to take advantage of the tools that you are given. The online presence, you need to engage. You need to engage with your audience. Try to find more audience. Keep going. I wasn't a fan of social media before all this started. I've had to do it. It's kind of I look at it as this is something you have to do to be in business today. You have to learn how to do it and figure out how you can enjoy it. We started doing that. We have a lot of fun content in our social media, and it just makes it so that, you are engaging, because if you have a business, whatever it is, and you are not out there on social media, whether it be Facebook or Instagram or Nextdoor or LinkedIn or whatever it is, and you're just like, no, I'm just going to do this without any of these tools. These tools are here for a reason, and all you're doing is crippling yourself. So that'd be my biggest piece of advice, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's huge. First off, if you're reading this article again, Newswire Magazine, or if you're on Amazon Fire TV, pause the episode, download the K4CO Radio app. If you're on Android, go to the Google Play Store. If you're on an iPhone, go to the Apple App Store, download it. Even in your car, if you've got a newer car with the with the smart radio, the Apple radio or whatever, you can actually install the radio on your car. I think you guys will love this show. Just really powerful interviews and great mix of different music genres. And final thought from either you guys, or maybe both of you, as far as being a guest or final call to action, maybe.
Wow. No, you have wonderful questions. Thank you. I agree. It is more a shout out to entrepreneurs. Never be intimidated by someone else. I find that a lot, that people think because of, like when you mentioned Conoco, I don't care if you are the president of the United States or you are, it doesn't matter to me who you are. I want to talk to you. I find you interesting because we all have our stories. So that would be my one thing, is put out your hands and introduce yourself and start a conversation, and to use the tools that you have. So we are members of a couple chambers here. I go to coffee regularly with people in the community. Use social media, use podcasts, use AI, use interviews, social media, radio, TV if you can. reach out to local nonprofits, reach out to other businesses, collaborate. People love to collaborate. They really, really do. If you say, hey, I have this widget and you have this widget, let's work together and promote it together. There's always a way to come up with a new idea. This morning I met for coffee with a gal, and I didn't think of another road because it took someone from the outside to see something that I didn't. So it's to reach out and to not be afraid, and always ask for the business.
And I'll say a little bit, just K4CO, find out who we are, because who we are is not just the radio station. I mean, if you like music, some people I like this genre and I don't really care about the rest. And other people, they like a lot of genres. Figure out who we are, but who we are is much more than just what you hear on the radio. It's everyone we do business with, the nonprofits that we do work with. It's our social media. It's much more than just listening to something in the car. And, if you like us, tell us. You can message the station anytime. And if there's absolutely anything that we can do, we will listen. That's our biggest thing. We want just an open door policy with anybody who just says, I had this idea. Okay, tell us about it. But yeah, and really just, even if you're not in Colorado, if you're listening outside of Colorado, make it a point to maybe try to listen to your local music, because unfortunately with today, there's not a lot of boost for the local music. There's not a lot of boost for the people who do have daytime jobs, who do work 40 hours a week, and then they go play their passion at a nightclub and Saturday night. And a lot of it, like we found out ourselves, man, a lot of it is very talented. We got a lot of talent around here, and we're just getting started.
And I appreciate you guys for being on. Thanks again. So it's Joshua De Estrada and Sara Duke. Just really enjoyed the interview, and we'll get this uploaded here soon, so everybody can see you in Newswire Magazine and Amazon Fire TV.
Curtis, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good seeing you again.